ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануєм ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Thank you. Hope everybody's doing okay today. Well, I thought it was going to be a messy day today, but apparently not. Another beautiful, sparkling day today, and it was, again, warm enough where I didn't need to wear my coat. And, you know, I just went around my short sleeve shirt on, and it was in the 50s. So it's really nice out finally, you know, when people are getting out and enjoying the sun. And, you know, it's people are, you know, they're sick of the winter, you know, as it always, because winters are long in this state. And so when spring comes and the weather starts to get nice, everybody runs right to the outdoors to enjoy the sun they get. We all need it, you know. So, but I'll tell you, you know, when you know, sunlight can really lift people's mood. For some people, it just doesn't lift anything, except maybe their anger or something. And I tell you, you know, things that are going on right now in this country, a good day isn't going to stop it. And one example of that is what's going on in Florida with Governor Ron DeSantis, and his new war with Disney. Okay, and this has kind of been the main news here for the last few days. So I thought I'd jump in with my 2 cents on it. And okay, good. I'm gonna have to wear my glasses here. This article is from Vanity Fair, and written by Eric Lutz, and it's titled "Ron DeSantis is Threatening Disney with Regulations Because It Spoke Out Against Florida's Anti-LGBTQ Law." Disney is basically allowed to function as its own government in Florida. DeSantis pissed that the major Florida employer is against his quote-unquote "Don't Say Gay" bill, is threatening to revoke those privileges. Florida Governor DeSantis is ramping up his war against Disney, threatening to retaliate against one of his state's largest employers over its criticism of the anti-gay law he just signed this week. Quote, "Disney has alienated a lot of people now," unquote, DeSantis said at a press conference Thursday. Quote, "And so the political influence they're used to wielding, I think, has dissipated. And so the question is, why would you want to have special privileges in the law at all? And I don't think that we should, unquote. DeSantis appears to be endorsing an idea floated by some state GOP lawmakers to revoke the special privileges, quote unquote, Disney has enjoyed for decades under the Reedy Creek Improvement Act as punishment for its stance against the anti-gay bill. The Reedy Creek Improvement District, established in 1967, effectively allows Disney World to act as its own government. The park oversees its own land use, regulates its own buildings, roads, and essentially provides the services a municipal or county government typically would. By revoking this statute, Disney World would come under the county's regulations. Quote, if Disney wants to embrace woke ideology, unquote, Florida State Representative Spencer Roach tweeted Wednesday, quote, it seems fitting then that they should be regulated by Orange County, unquote. It's unclear whether DeSantis and his Republican allies will follow through on this threat, which came days after the governor enacted the quote-unquote Don't Say Gay bill Florida Republicans passed in March. The law takes effect on July 1st and will prohibit teachers in the state from discussing sexual orientation or gender identity with school children and allow parents to take legal action against school districts they feel have violated the law. Disney has initially shrugged at the bill, with CEO Bob Chapek insisting that the quote-unquote inspiring content the company created in programs like Modern Family could better affect change than any condemnation of the GOP's legislative attack on LGBTQ kids. That triggered an internal revolt at the company, including an employee walkout and an open letter from Disney employees stating that Disney had, quote, utterly failed to match the magnitude of the threat to LGBTQIA safety represented by this legislation, unquote. The pressure campaign pushed the company to more directly criticize the law and vowed to support repeal efforts. The law has already been challenged in court. That drew the ire of Republicans in Florida and beyond, who have made the entertainment giant the latest target in their endless culture wars. National Republicans like Marco Rubio accused Disney of supporting the indoctrination of young kids. The right-wing outrage machine has made the company their punching bag du jour, with Ben Shapiro planning to create kids' content through his conservative Daily Wire media outlet to counter-program Disney, which he whined was, quote, being held hostage by the woke, unquote. And state Republicans like Roach are holding meetings to discuss repealing the Reedy Creek Improvement District. That would be a quote-unquote disaster for the company, according to Orlando News 6 political analyst Jim Clark. But it may be a bluff. Quote, if you ask me whether it's politically possible to take these privileges away from the Disney company, I don't think so, unquote. Richard Fogelsong, who explored the relationship between Disney and Orlando in his book Married to the Mouse, told News 6. Quote, I think that cooler minds will prevail and that this is really a shot across the bow to try to bring the Disney company, Mickey Mouse, if you will, into line with Governor DeSantis. DeSantis then may be playing a game of chicken with the mouse. It's petty, but it's also fitting for the Florida governor, who has become a GOP star and potential 2024 presidential contender, by rushing to the front lines of every conservative culture war. And, as Slate's Mark Joseph Stern recently observed, it's part of a disturbing trend in which the GOP appears to be turbocharging its anti-gay agenda after a period of, quote, tactical retreat, unquote. Oh, where these assholes ever give up? I mean, come on. These culture wars is all they got going for them. I wouldn't even call it a political party anymore. I mean, what would you call it? The GOP. It's not. I mean, they're not even really about politics. They're about dominating society. They're about getting rid of government as we know it. Okay, they keep talking about making government small. You know, that's what they've been saying since, you know, they started griping on the air about it in the 80s and stuff. that government's too big. You know, Reagan started that, and that because if it's too big, then it controls your lives. Well, here's the really ironic thing. Republicans want to control your lives anyway. Whether the government is big or not, they're already out there doing it. Telling women they can't get an abortion. And threatening companies if they don't kowtow to what the GOP is saying. Okay, what do you call these actions? That's not small government. That's a government completely exploded in size and in a communistic form, a dictatorship. That's what they're doing. Okay, that's not a small government. That's a government on steroids. That's the way they want to run things. That's the way this guy here, DeSantis, wants to run his state. He wants to be King Lear there, whatever, and everybody else has to just shut up and accept what he says, and if you don't accept it, you're going to get punished. Why this guy is a contender to run for president and then the GOP, I don't know. We have to ask ourselves, what is the GOP these days? If a guy like this is promising to them, what are these people turning into? And should we allow them to maintain their seats of power in the United States of America? Because we have a doctrine in this country that you have to agree to if you wish to be a member of this country. And if these Republicans don't see like they can agree with that anymore, then shouldn't we just, say, look, then you can't be a state, okay? If you want to run things your way, if you want to discriminate against people, if you want to bring slavery back to life, if you want to, put walls around and barriers around women and stuff so they can't have any rights to their damn body, that's not what the United States stands for. You can't be a member here, okay? And until that changes, you're out. I think that's what we ought to start thinking about here, the rest of us in this country who still have a brain, that states like Florida here with governors that are like ultra right-wing nut conservatives, we need to protect our country overall from these folks so they can't sit on the seats of the Senate, the Congress, the judiciary. We have to protect our country from these clowns, so that way we don't fall under their influence, if you will, where they could start manipulating the rest of the country through whatever means they've been using all this time. So I think that like this in the case here of Florida and DeSantis, I think cut Florida right off the fucking union and watch the mass exodus of people leaving that state. Because if DeSantis is left to his own devices to run that state as he sees fit, okay, and not have to worry about government oversight, then Florida is essentially, a third world little nation sitting on the edge of our country and about to be flooded over with water when the global warming really starts to kick in. So he's going to be governor of nothing. The thing of it is that, like I said, this guy is really ever since he was out there telling people not to wear masks during the pandemic, his real colors were coming out. We all know what this man is. Okay, he's a friggin' communist wannabe, just like Trump. Okay, Trump's the same fucking way, and he really wants to get into the presidency and essentially dissolve the government if he can. That's what Trump tried to do. He damaged it. Trump damaged the government, but he didn't destroy it the way he wanted it to. But, the Republicans will go for another shot at it, and this guy here is the one that'll do it. And I think that if we can't see the warning signs now about what this guy really is and what he's really up to, then we are fucked. Okay, as a country, we really are. And so we have to be careful of people like DeSantis, and governors like him that are also in the damn news all the time, like the governor there of Texas. who's still on his crusade to fight women and their rights. You know, where this ends, I don't know. Where this ends, I wish I could tell you, but I don't know. But it kind of like, remember a few videos back I was sitting here talking about how this country should end up shaping itself into, if we allow the divisions in this country to fester and continue to explode, where each state will decide whether it wants to be a red or a blue state inside the United States. And people who want to live a Republican lifestyle will go into the red state, and you know, the rest. Okay, well, it looks like that's going to start to happen here with people like DeSantis here. You know, because what will happen is, once you start down that road of either being a red state or a blue state, you know, and if you start doing this a lot, where the people are just starting to leave the state because they don't want to stay there, what you're going to have is left over in these states is those people who are red or blue, and eventually it's going to be impossible to shift the political structure of government in these states, where you can have a chance of turning a red state blue or a blue state red. So eventually what you'll have is just permanent red and blue states, because everybody living in those states is either going to be all conservative or all liberal or Democrat. Okay, so I see this like Florida here, you know, and then they said that a lot of employees from Disney walked out when they found out that Disney wasn't too happy about what DeSantis had signed into, you know, and so they quit, essentially. They quit their fucking job. So that goes to show you, there is a mentality down there in Florida that really, you know, agrees with DeSantis here on this thing. And it's not a good sign, because, you know, there was a lot of Republicans in that state who died during the height of the pandemic. They were on the radio telling people not to wear masks and all this shit, and 8 or 9 of them all died from coronavirus in just 6-7 months period. A lot of these radio conservatives. So there's a lot of conservative thinking going on in that state, and that's why there's a lot of goofy laws down there, like the stand your ground shit and all that stuff, which, you know, another talk show personality had predicted would become an albatross, and she was right. Of course, she's dead now. But the thing is that you know, we're looking at our country basically, or at least with the red states anyway. You're looking at Republicans basically saying, "Fuck you to the government, the federal government. We're going to take things into our own hands, and we're going to run our states the way we want." Okay, and that's the attitude we're getting now from governors in Florida, Texas, Oklahoma. Okay, these states are basically saying, we don't care if this law, you know, matters to you on the federal level. We're enacting it. We're going to make it law here, and try and stop us. You know, and right now they got a Supreme Court that's, you know, leaning to the right, and they just might be able to get away with it. You know, and they figured now's the time to do it, right? While the Supreme Court is still red. And like I said before, why even depend on that when, you know, months later or years later, they could go back to a Supreme Court made up of different people, and then turn around and just overturn a decision that was already made. Why do the Republicans think that just because they got the leverage in the Supreme Court now, that it's going to hold for all time? It won't. It never does. Okay? These things, you know, they seem to always come back and read, like Roe versus Wade. When that passed, everybody thought that was the end of the fight. Well, lo and behold, here we are. We're back at square one again, and the fight is still heating up. Okay? We haven't won a goddamn thing. So that's why I say, about courts, the Supreme Court, if it's the final court in the land, then their decisions have to be final. Okay, there cannot be an appeal process. There cannot be anything questioned or reviewed or anything where things can change. Okay, once the decision is made, it has to be final, because that's the last rung in the ladder in the court of justice in this country. I mean, you can't go any higher than that. So until they make another court that goes above the Supreme Court, all decisions are final. It should be. There should not be any contesting of any damn, decision that was ever reached by that court in matters past. All right, and that's why I say it's really disingenuous to think that justice can be fair under a system like that, where there is no end. There is no fucking end. Okay, all you got to do is wait for a different judge or a whole new makeup of judges, and then you could just bring your case back to them, and they'll either look at it or not. So I feel like it's crazy that we have a system like that. But for the Republicans right now to think that they can pass all these laws and get away with it, they might just be able to right now. But in years to come, the court might change again, and then people can challenge that and undo all this shit. Who knows? But right now, as it is, we're basically, unless people start to revolt against these draconian laws they're creating in these Republican states, unless these people are willing to stand up against it and stop it, we're just going to have to sit and take this up the butt like it, and basically wait till our turn comes when we get the court our way, and then challenge this shit then, to bring a stop to it. But in the meantime, a lot of people their lives are going to be upended because of a lot of decisions that are going to be held to by the Supreme Court when they're looking at laws like this and Roe versus Wade and all this other shit, all the stuff that should have been settled long ago and never brought up again. Okay, I mean, do you think we get do-overs when we fight wars? Like, oh well, we lost in Vietnam, let's try this again. Do you think we should have redos and stuff like that over things that have already been finished? Like if Germany said, no, we lost World War II, we're going to start it again, and this time we're going to do it a different way. That's the same thing, when you're looking at fucking court cases. They're battles too, okay? And because they lost the initial fight, doesn't mean they get a do-over, because some asshole lawyer figured out another angle at how they can fight this thing. No, you should have had all your angles brought to the courtroom when you fought this case in the beginning. Okay, you don't get a chance to come back and try it all over again because you had a brain fart 10 years later and decided, oh, we should have did it this way. Too late. Too fucking late. You had your chance then and you squandered it. Okay? Too late. That's why, you're supposed to be smart when you go to law school. That's why you're supposed to know your history. That's why you're supposed to know your laws. Okay? You don't go to these damn things just so you can get, a nice education from your parents' back when they pay for it, and get diplomas and shit like that just so you can make a fat salary. Okay? That job requires you actually to commit to it. It's like when you join the military. People don't join the military just to get fat off of the government money, which they don't get much of. Okay, these people are going to be asked to do something to defend this country. Okay, and then they can't just say, no, we ain't, we not, no, you don't get that. You have to join the service with the intent in mind that you're going to be called on to fight. Okay, same damn thing. When you're a judge or whatever job you're doing, I don't care if you're even just a janitor. Okay, same damn thing. You get a job doing that's exactly what you're going to do, and you're going to do it at the best of your ability. Right? Same thing goes, for this here. They had their chance to win this fight against Roe versus Wade. They lost. Period. They may not like it. That might stick in their craw. Just like the South lost the Civil War. They can bitch and moan and complain about that for centuries to come. The fact is, they can't get do-overs unless they want to start something. Okay? They can't get a do-over on that. They had their chance and they lost. And DeSantis here with this fucking thing that he's trying to do, okay? If the people in the state of Florida allow this to go through, okay, then there's still chances that they can, change this going up the ladder. But once it reaches the top, if it still stands, then that's what these people in Florida are going to have to live with, okay? As far as what Disney's going to do, I don't know. I'm not going to say that it's impossible for Florida to remove their, their special status there, to being their own entity in that state. I'm not going to assume the Republicans can't do that. These days, the Republicans seem to be capable of doing just about anything they want when they apply enough pressure to do it. Okay, for somebody to come out and say, there's no way they can do it. No, no. Don't you dare say that. Okay, when you say they can't do it, that's just challenging them to do it. And no matter how crazy these people think, no matter how out of this world they might approach you on their things, okay, they still have enough people behind them to believe what they say, and that's just all they need to keep things going, to keep the water boiling all the fucking time. That's all they need. The 30% of this country is all they need to give them the leverage they need to change things in this country. That's where you're talking about this country not being run the way it was designed to be run, where majority is supposed to rule, not the minority. Okay, the people who are not in power, okay, in this case the Republicans, have way more influence in government than those who are in power. Okay, that's not supposed to be. That's not supposed to be, and yet that's where it is. So DeSantis here, throwing his fat around with this stupid idea of his that he signed or endorsed. It's a disgrace. His "Don't Say Gay" bill. In other words, if you even talk about it, somebody can sue you for it. You know, what is this? I thought we had free speech in this country. I thought teachers were supposed to teach and educate our kids. Now we don't want them to teach about gender identity. We don't want them to teach history, okay? We don't want them to teach about science. What the hell do these Republicans want our kids to be taught? They want these kids to graduate with a diploma that means shit because they don't know what they're supposed to know. They just know what the governor wants them to know. What the hell kind of a diploma is that? Jesus Christ. It doesn't even pay to be a teacher anymore these days. They're underpaid, okay, and they're overworked, and they're over-criticized. Who the fuck wants to work in a job like that? Who? I certainly wouldn't want that. You always got state oversight on your shoulder, and the minute you utter a sound, you're brought in for a discussion with the board or something. Come on. Are we running a school or a concentration camp here? All right, let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back.
Dear CEO, what's it gonna take for you to do something? Yeah, do you even care?
Climate change affects all of us.
This is your chance to do something good.
We quit smoking. Well, I'm not smoking. And I didn't think anybody could do that.
15,000 cigarettes a year times 35 years.
So I've been smoking for 45 years. It's the easiest thing in the world to quit. I've done it 1,000 times.
Cigarettes helps you break the nicotine addiction, and it works in as little as 7 days.
I smoked 43 years. I quit just like that.
I thought I was just going to go nuts wanting a cigarette. I never did. I was just wonderful.
5 packs a day for a while. I'm doing great now.
She bought it and said, try it, and I reluctantly, half-heartedly tried it. But it was so easy that just breezed through it. Didn't have the urge to eat anymore.
As a matter of fact, I lost about 2 pounds.
No way did I want to gain weight, and I lost.
When they offered that money-back guarantee, I thought I just have to try it.
No matter how much you smoke, no matter how long you've been smoking, With Cigarette, you'll quit or your money back. Guaranteed. All for hundreds of dollars less than other major programs.
On the other programs, I guess I spent around $2,500 to $3,000.
When you think of the price, it's just amazing.
Think of what you can do with $1,000.
Well, I figured it up at 25 cents a pack, and I could have bought 2 of the homes that I live in now.
And without smoking, we've got a few more years to go together.
Tell them to do what I did. Just order it.
I'd say pick up that phone like I did and call the toll-free number.
Order your cigarettes now. Call 1-800-872-9800. With the Cigarette program, you're guaranteed to stop smoking in as little as 7 days, without withdrawal, without gaining weight, and without spending hundreds of dollars. To save COD fees, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-872-9800 or send $19.95 plus $4 postage and handling to Cigarette, Box 4444, Carlsbad, California, 92008. Or call toll-free 1-800-872-9800.
Superman movie is brought to you by Canon, the world's leading camera manufacturer.
Quick, it's happy.
Canavision 8 camcorders.
Hey, I thought you were Superman, huh?
Hey, I am.
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Fresh goes better, Mentos fresh goes. Fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Let's move to a different state here for another topic. State of Oklahoma here, which just passed a bill that would make most abortions illegal. Now, this article here comes from NPR. And, okay, it starts off. The Oklahoma House gave final legislative approval on Tuesday to a bill that would make performing an abortion a felony, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. With little discussion and no debate, the Republican-controlled House voted 70-14 to send the bill to the Republican Governor Kevin Stitt, who has previously said he'd sign any anti-abortion bill that comes across his desk. The bill is one of several anti-abortion measures still alive in Oklahoma's legislature this year, part of a trend of GOP-led states passing aggressive anti-abortion legislation as the conservative U.S. Supreme Court is considering ratcheting back abortion rights that have been in place for nearly 50 years. The Oklahoma bill, which passed the Senate last year, makes an exception only for an abortion performed to save the life of the mother, said GOP State Representative Jim Olson of Roland, who sponsored the bill. Under the bill, a person convicted of performing an abortion would face up to 10 years in prison and a $100,000 fine. Quote, "The penalties are for the doctor, not for the woman," unquote, Olson said. Similar anti-abortion bills approved by the Oklahoma legislature in recent years have been stopped by the courts as unconstitutional. The bill's passage came on the same day as more than 100 people attended a, quote, "Bans Off Oklahoma," unquote, rally outside the Capitol in support of abortion rights. Quote, "These legislatures have continued their relentless attacks on our freedoms," unquote, said Emily Wales, interim president and CEO of Planned Parenthood Great Plains votes. Quote, these restrictions are not about improving the safety of the work that we do. They are about shaming and stigmatizing people who need and deserve abortion access, unquote. Wales said Planned Parenthood's abortion clinic in Oklahoma has seen an 800% increase in the number of women from Texas after that state had passed the most restrictive anti-abortion law in the United States in decades. The Texas law that took effect last year bans abortions once cardiac activity is detected, usually around 6 weeks of pregnancy, without exceptions in cases of rape or incest. Also, Tuesday, the Oklahoma House adopted a resolution to recognize lives lost due to abortion and urged citizens to fly flags at half-staff on January the 22nd, the day the U.S. Supreme Court legalized abortion in its landmark 1973 decision in Roe v. Wade. So, yeah, another Republican-controlled state doing what is considered unconstitutional act here by passing, or, you know, getting something like this passed. And, you know, this, you got to say that the timing of this isn't just, you know, coincidental. I mean, obviously, when Texas saw women fleeing into Oklahoma, you know, the governor of Texas and the governor of Oklahoma were already working out a way to take away that advantage to the women that were going into Oklahoma to get their abortions. Now they're going to try and stop it from happening there too. So, like I said, what's happening is these Republicans are setting up, like putting a mouse in a friggin' maze. Okay, they're putting walls everywhere that are going to lead people straight the hell out of these Republican states, okay? And I think that's what they're doing here. It's not so much that they want to fine people and throw them in prison. It's they're trying to scare them the hell out of their states. They want all people who think liberally, progressively, or whatever to just leave their state, so that way it's only red and there's no fucking blue, no purple, no nothing in that state. It has to be red and nothing else. In other words, everybody living in that state has to be a Republican. They all have to think the same way. Okay, and that's why they're doing these things. They're trying to scare the people out. They're trying to scare them out. The problem is what do you think is going to happen when most women don't live in the red states anymore because they cannot have rights to their bodies to do what they want to do? Okay, these red states are suddenly going to be filled with more men than women. Don't you see where this is going? I mean, these people are going to be left in states where women just aren't going to live there. I don't care, you're not going to get a woman to live with a guy in a state that's got restrictions on a woman, like it's the slave days or something. Okay, they're not going to live there. So these guys are going to box themselves into a corner where the state they're living in is male dominated, and where there's like 80% men and 30% women. There's going to be a serious problem in these states. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that all men are Republicans, okay? I'm just saying that the men that are Republicans in that state are going to be left there, while most of the women are going to be gone, and a lot of the men who are Democrat are going to be gone, okay? They're not going to want to stay and live in a fucking state like that, So, this might sound like a good thing for them right now, what they're doing, making these laws and stuff like that. It might sound like it's an answer for their woes, but what they're doing is they're going to be creating a new societal problem in their states where their rigidness is going to create a new problem that they never thought that would happen, where most women are going to want those reproductive rights back, and some of them will be Republican women, because they're going to live under the horrors of the laws that were enacted by these fucking guys here, like DeSantis here, and they're going to realize that the Democrats were right all along, that these people are fascists. Okay, they want to create a communist country. That's what they want to turn their states into, little tiny countries inside of the United States that are fucking like Putin or something like that. That's what they're trying to do, and nobody's going to want to live in those fucking places, okay, where they know your every fucking move wherever you go, You know, they have to know what you're doing behind closed doors. I mean, these people want to live in a police state, you know, where they can watch everything you're doing. That's what they want to do, these Republicans. Okay? That's how they're going to monitor people, to make sure that they're not doing something not supposed to be doing. I mean, they want to make sure you're not reading books they don't want you to read. They want to make sure that you're watching programs on TV that they don't want you, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be in your face all the friggin' time in these states, these red states, and that's what they're trying to do. They want to control the population. So, like I said, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be alienating their own citizens, and there's not going to be many of them left living there by the time they're all done with their little orgy here of communist dictatorship power here. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be as happy until they've done this, and then they're going to be wondering why they can't get any any societal development, why they can't keep up with the Joneses, as it were, you know, when their state falls behind all the other states because they don't have the manpower or the workforce that other states have. Okay, they're dooming their own state to being stagnant, to the possibility of just stumbling backward. Because believe me, women make up a large percentage of workforce in the country, and you know, when you start to lose that segment of your society, it's going to take a toll. It's going to take a toll on your state. But like I said, this is what's happening. I mean, I think, you know, what I was predicting would happen months ago. It's starting to take shape, and all of this can be pointed right down to the fact that the polarization of our government is what brought this on. You know, the radical thoughts and complaints of the extreme right wing over things that are really not problems, but they make them into problems. They snowball these things into problems that like critical race theory, which is it was never an issue until they brought it up. Okay, they brought it up and they were totally wrong about what the hell what critical race theory was. For one thing, it's not taught in public schools. Okay, it's a graduate level course that people that want to be lawyers take in school. Okay, little kids aren't going to understand that. Jesus Christ, you're giving them too much credit. If kids were that smart at that age, Jesus Christ, we'd have Einsteins all over the fucking country. Christ. But the truth is that they create problems, and then they accuse the other side of doing what they're already doing. Okay, that's how they shift blame away from themselves. So, like I said, these people are they're very good at propaganda. I got to tell them that. I mean, these people must have learned this shit right from Russia, you know, like Fox News and all that. These people that work at that, you know, must have got their lessons directly from the Soviet Union when that was still around, because they know how to lie like a rug. I mean, these people are just fucking crazy. The shit they come out with and the things they say. I mean, on their news show, it's like, you know, you call yourself news and you get on the air and you say this kind of stuff. That's not part of what being a reporter is. I mean, just yesterday or the day before, you had Laura Ingraham on there threatening Disney, you know, saying, well, if you're going to take that stand, this is what's going to happen to you. That's not what a news personality or journalist is supposed to be doing on the air. Whoever said that she was a fucking journalist is a fucking drunk, because that woman there ain't no journalist. She's a fucking demagogue. That's what she is. And she doesn't, she's just parroting things that's already been said, but putting more emotion behind it. Okay? She takes a stand with some radical right-wing nut. All right? And then she's on the air spewing her filth to people at home, to the 30% that listen to her in this country. Okay? I think she's the smartest thing that there is, okay? When she's really a friggin' lunatic, you know, who just has a gift of gab, you know, a big mouth, you know, like Ann Coulter. She's another one. But, you know, these people are expert propagandists, and they know they've got, you know, a segment of our country in their pocket, and they are not going to let that go. They're not going to let that go for anything. They're going to keep hounding on these people. They're going to keep scaring the shit out of them. They're going to keep telling them lies, And these people are going to be so stupid to believe them, because to try to figure out what's really going on requires them to use their brain, which they don't want to use because it hurts too much, you know, for them to think their way out of a fucking problem, okay? When the rest of us are already doing this on a daily basis. Some of us don't want to, but we are anyway. You got people out there debunking everything that's said on Fox every single night, okay? And, you know, the fact that, you know, Republicans ignore that just goes to show you just how lazy they are. They don't want to hear. They don't want to think. They don't want to see anything than what they're told, and that's it, okay? So what if the argument they had doesn't make any sense? They're going to believe it anyway. So what if what they're saying about the right wing doesn't add up? I mean, the left wing doesn't add up. They're going to believe it anyway. Why? Because, hey, I ain't got time to think about this. I have to go to work tomorrow. You know, they're part of the victims of what the Republicans have been doing in this country for all this time. Okay, these people are poor because of their own loyalty to this party, you know, that they've been involved with all this time. These, you know, they're being, it's like, what do they call that? Like spousal abuse. You know, guy beating on his wife, but the wife won't leave because she's too afraid to. She doesn't know how to live on her own. She needs her husband because he makes all the money and she can't leave him. Well, that's what the Republican Party is. You got the head upper echelons of the GOP party beating the shit out of their voters every day, but the voters can't leave them because they're tied to them emotionally. They depend on them for what they should believe in. Okay, they're lied to so damn much they don't know the truth when it's told to them. They don't want to know that they've been lied to. Okay, it's too much for them to fucking to believe that would happen, that they would be so stupid. Like the thing about Trump having the election stolen from him. Okay, that's the most outlandish friggin' conspiracy theory that QAnon has been rapping on here all this time. Okay, but yet, even though there's no evidence to back up this theory that they got, okay, and no court wants to hear any more of it because there is no proof about it, that doesn't matter to them at all. They're going to keep right on believing that until, you know, the cows come home. It doesn't matter. They don't care. All they want to do is just keep following the party, because the party is everything to them. It's not just a political group anymore. It's a cult. It's like a religion with these people. Okay, that's what they believe. That's what they believe in, and it's sad when people start to put politics above family, to put politics above their own personal welfare. Okay, and that's the trap that these folks have fallen into with the Republican Party, is they put ideology above, you know, family, friends, okay, and I can't imagine a worse fate for people than to fall into that line, because that's kind of a slice of what, you know, that story of 1984 was trying to show us, what happens to people when they put away their moral core and they replace it with, you know, the will of the state. Okay, they're not human anymore. Okay, they're told what to say, what to think, what to do. Okay, and they end up just being robots. They live their life without actually living a life. They just live their vessels for their government. You know, their tools, pawns, and they don't get to have a life of their own from birth. Okay, it's taken away from them because, you know, of their party loyalty and stuff like that. And because everybody is so brainwashed within that party, within that group, within that, you know what I'm saying, that to find the truth is going to be very difficult, which is what's happening in Russia right now, where Russia's basically closed off access to the outside world, to its people, where they can't get online and actually find some independent news sources to know what's really going on outside of Russia. These poor people now, they're stuck listening to the propaganda of the state news on their TV every night, and even though in their heart they probably know they're being lied to, they just don't want to. They don't want to fucking know the truth of what their country's doing. Okay, they don't want to know. And so the lies that are being told to them on TV give them an excuse to say, oh, well, we're doing okay. You know, if we weren't doing okay, then they'd say it, right? Well, they already know they wouldn't. But the fact is, it eases their mind in a way that, you know, only propaganda can do. It gives them an easy way out, an exit, if you will, an off-ramp from following that road down to its darkest end where you get to see the truth. Okay, they don't want to see that. Okay, they want to take that off-ramp that's offered to them by the propaganda and live on that reality. So unfortunately for a lot of Russians right now, they're living in a reality that doesn't exist. And one day they're going to find out about that, but it's going to be too late. And, you know, to think that the United States is separate from that, you'd be wrong, because we have it happening right now in our own country. We have the same damn thing happening right here in America, where we got politicians basically holding people over the fire over propaganda that's already been debunked 6 ways from Sunday. Okay, but people are still out there believing it, even though they have access to the independent news outlets. They can find out whether or not what they're being told is true, but they won't do it because it's like I said, it's asking them to use energy or something that they don't want to expel because they don't want to think that what they're believing is wrong. Okay, and why these people, I don't know, maybe it's because of arrogance and pride, that they don't want to be proven wrong, that the liberal down the street that was telling them that they were dumb, they were stupid for believing the story about Trump being been cheated out of his presidency, they don't want to have to feel like idiots for having believed that, and they don't want to give the benefit to the Democrats that they were right. Okay, so it's better to believe the lie than it is to accept the truth. And you wouldn't think that people would be willing to do something like that. That people are suckers for the truth. No, they're not really. They're suckers for a lie, is what they really are, because a lie is a lot easier to hold in your mind than the truth. I mean, look, the very first thing kids learn how to do when they're on this world is lie, because truth is often more embarrassing, more self-incriminating. They know it could lead to trouble, more trouble, or something like that, and people try to avoid it instinctively. They try to avoid making matters worse in their mind, so they figure a lie is the best way to avoid what's worse. Where a lot of times people have said, like Nixon, you take Nixon as a good example, a person who tried to lie like a son of a bitch, okay, that he knew nothing about Watergate, and look what it did to him. He still lost, and he never lived that down, okay, to his dying day. He never lived that down. So in the end, he might have been forgiven if he'd have just said the truth, but because he lied so damn much about it, okay, he eroded people's trust of him away by constantly lying about it. And so it just it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. But people are suckers for a lie. They'll hold on to it so long as it's useful to them, but when it's no longer useful, it becomes a cancer. Okay, and the lie doesn't mean anything anymore. So these women here in Oklahoma, I know I went off on quite a few tangents here, but the women in Oklahoma, I can't really think that the majority of the women in Oklahoma actually support this. I can't. I really can't. I mean, when you're talking about attacking a segment of society, women, basically, I mean, that's because women, they're the only ones that give birth to babies, right? I mean, when you make a law that attacks them, only them, okay, and you're threatening 10 years in prison, that's pretty stiff. That's a pretty stiff penalty right there. I mean, you're basically putting that abortion up there with like Charles Manson or Jeffrey Dahmer, saying that, you know, these women are going to end up being like that. Okay, you know, if you do an abortion, considering that, you know, maybe some of these women have an abortion because they were raped by a Charles Manson or a Ted Bundy or whatever, and they got pregnant, or somebody in their own family. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It just seems to me like I can't see how women can unify under this bullshit law. They more than anyone should understand the benefits of having the right to be able to make that decision on their own. Okay? That no man should ever be able to tell them what to do with their body. I don't give a fuck if they're their husband or boyfriend or what you want to call them. Okay? That thing is in their body, and it's going to be their decision whether or not they want it or not. Okay, if the guy didn't want the woman to get pregnant to end up in a situation, then why didn't he wear a fucking condom or have himself denutted or some damn thing? Who knows? But the thing of it is that, you know, it goes back to something else I said before in a video about people minding their own goddamn business. Okay, there's nothing in the world that can does better for people than to keep their nose out of others' affairs. Okay. You know, when you live a life where you're constantly in this person's face, that person's face, this person's face, because you don't agree with what they're doing, you're not only living a life of friggin' misery because you're constantly in misery from these people, but you're not even living your own life because you're spending too much time worrying about other people's lives. You know, that's not living. Okay, you're going around acting like you're a friggin' dictator, or a Karen, if you want, telling people that, oh, you can't live this way, you can't live that way, that's wrong, this is wrong. Nobody gave you a badge or knighted you to be the defender of morality in this country. Everybody has that responsibility bestowed on them personally to live their life as they see fit. That's part of being a person, free choice, which was, according to the Bible, given to us by God Himself, right? Free choice. That makes us separate from animals. Okay, we have the freedom to do what we want. But if you take away that freedom, then we're no better than animals. Okay, because we don't have the choice to get up in the morning or to eat when we want to eat or something like that. You know. Where's the pursuit of happiness, you know, that we got in our Constitution here? Where is that when people can't choose their destiny, can't choose the paths we live in our life? I mean, what fun is there in living in a world that's got all these opportunities and they're constantly shutting them one by one by one by one, where now we can't do them because somebody else said, oh, that's not right for you, that's wrong, you can't do that. Really? I mean, I should have learned all the things that are right and wrong when I was growing up at home with my parents, but now that I'm an adult and I'm on my own, now I have to yield to some other authority about that. So when do I ever get my chance to decide what I can do for myself? Okay? That day is going to come again in this country, where we're all going to have to fight this battle over, you know, our freedoms, our choices of, you know, what's the meaning of life? What are we supposed to be here for? To live for somebody else or to live our own lives, you know? But nobody should ever feel like it's incumbent on them, or that they've been given some kind of a right, in whatever way you want to treat it, to tell people that, oh, hey, you can't have an abortion, or you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't talk about gender identity, you can't read this book, you can't do that. Okay, that's wrong, that's bad. Okay, so do you want to live in a world like that? I mean, there are countries on this planet that force their people to live in such ways, and they're not happy people. Okay, they're not happy people. And if you think that turning our nation into one of these kind of countries is the best thing to do for America, well, then you don't realize what a free society is. You've morphed that in your mind into something else that it's not. Okay, you've turned the country into something that it's not. You see America in a different way. Then that's wrong. That's twisted. I don't know where you learn that, but for some people, the 30% in this country that are still consider themselves Trump Republicans, they look at America as a disease that needs a cure, and they consider themselves a cure for America. And unfortunately for them, what they don't see is they are the disease, okay, and the cure is the rest of us, to try to keep them from doing what they feel compelled to do, and that's destroy a nation. Okay, they think by destroying a free society they can create a better one. The ideas they're already showing us right now, the things they're already telling us they would like to do on a state level, okay, are already indications that these people are not American in their way they think. Okay, they are not patriots. They're actually the enemies of our country, and the rest of us are really obligated to make sure these people don't ever get their way, because if they do, that's a shot not across the bow but actually into it. Okay, and you know, we just can't allow these American imposters, these you know, people who want to think they are American, we can't allow these people to get their way, okay? Because we know that the things they believe in are wrong. We know that they're intrusive. We know that they come from a very dark source in their party, and whatever they tell you is never really the complete truth, but there's always a hidden agenda somewhere. Okay, we know people like that. We've dealt with people like that in the past in this world. People that you know, they look friendly, but when they talk about what they want to do, there's a lot of things that we don't agree with, because the things they want to do would actually curtail people's individual freedoms and you know, their ability to be able to live a life that's, you know, not walled in by all these goddamn paranoid beliefs from somebody that you don't even know, really. I mean, how many people actually know Ron DeSantis? You know, I don't know this guy from a hole in the ground, okay? But the things that he's been doing down in Florida doesn't make it sound like a guy I really want to know. You know, it'd be like somebody I'd want to kick his ass all around the schoolyard all day. But he's certainly not somebody I'd want to know, okay? But for some people, I think that's what they like. They like a guy like that, you know, that rattles a sword around and intends to do something to this country that ain't right. You know, he's already done it with a state, and people down there still love him. You know, but he's responsible for a lot of deaths down there in Florida. Okay, his hands are as bloody as sin. So, anyway, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Please keep your ears open to any local COVID news, and subscribe, and keep your, you know, eyes open for the little flag there when it comes up when I put a video, so you can see it. And I hope everybody has a nice, beautiful week here like we're getting right now. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.